Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Serge Santos is known as the business physicist. He's an entrepreneur who currently runs 3 different companies. His feeling is that networking is an art, not a science. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Serge.
Hi, Liz. It's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Now, you're known as the business physicist, and you run 3 different companies at the moment. And I know your background is in science rather than being an entrepreneur. So tell me a bit about PhD that you did, and not too technical though, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my journey has been very, very unconventional. So I started as a physicist by training and was passionate about physics. And I did a PhD. And that soon I realized, so that's where I start doing some research. I realized it's a very narrow path where you start doing things that will interest probably, if you're lucky, 50 to 100 people in the world. I was a theoretical physicist, so it's extremely narrow.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to take a different route and left after finishing my PhD, went into business.
And did you ever actually work in science, or did you change course pretty quickly?
Yeah, my PhD was pretty much my 4 years in doing research. Published a few papers and very proud of it. But that's pretty much all what I did in physics.
And so that you then went on and did a qualification in finance, didn't you?
As well, yeah. And that's the reason why I came to the UK in 2003, did a master's in finance from the London Business School, which was a career change. So after my PhD, I moved into strategic consulting, which was basically helping big international corporations to with strategic questions and all sorts of business-related issues they were coping with. I worked in Switzerland. I'm originally Swiss, and also in the US. So I did 5 years of that and realized it's also a very, very narrow path, because if you're a consultant, you consult, you advise, but you never do things really. So that's where I thought I will come to London and change career.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the roles that you had in finance over the years and the different businesses that you worked for.
Sure. So after my master's in finance, I started at a company that is now defunct called Lehman Brothers. It's an investment bank, and worked for them for 2 years. It was a real eye-opener. I've seen a lot from the finance world, which I think equipped me also, and is still very useful today, having a good understanding of what running a company means in financial terms. But I left after 2 years to join a hedge fund, which is basically an investor rather than, again, an investment bank, which is an advisor, and ended up working for a big company for 7 years.
And what was it that made you decide to leave the kind of corporate world behind and forge your own path and start your own businesses?
Yeah, what pushed me to change path again was a beautiful word in English, which is serendipity. I ended up being asked, or asking myself in my early 40s, do you want to continue doing that, or do you want to take some risks? And I was also at a crossroads in terms of my job, whereby what I was doing wouldn't work anymore for the fund I was working for. And basically I had to decide to continue or take a personal risk, by becoming an independent entrepreneur, basically.
And so tell me about the business that you started.
Yes, in 2017, I started a company called Certus Capital, which was a one-man band and stayed a one-man band, basically raising fund and capital for companies that needed help. And I happened to know a company in Germany doing real estate, and they were in desperate need for a large amount of cash. So with my contact, my network as well, it was quite relevant to have the right entry points, and knowing also having this credibility, having worked in this industry. I helped this company raising what started with 100 million euros, and it's a lot,
Yeah.
and ended up in a big 700 million investment in the German company.
Wow. And so that's, you don't run that business anymore, do you? You exited that, I believe.
Yes, indeed. It was just the end of the journey for this company. It was basically a business that requires either to stay in finance, and I didn't want to just do that. I wanted to be more closer to the real world. And that's where I started my real entrepreneurial journey in 2017.
Yes. So tell me about your current businesses.
Yes, sure. So it has been, I would say, not really a blueprint, but I started with the concept of legacy. And I'm started thinking through what does it mean to have a business, and go beyond just business per se, but building, as I said, a legacy, but an ecosystem of companies. That was my aim. Obviously, Rome wasn't built in one day, so you do go step by step in doing that. But I started with the acquisition of a business that had been around for almost 30 years in an industry I didn't know at all. And this company is called Compressed Air Center. It's an industrial engineering company that was extremely well run, but also needed someone to take care of it and develop the company. It was then followed in 2021, after 4 years of me getting my and a good understanding of what the business was doing, and also for the team to get to know me. When I thought it's in a good place, I started another company in financial services called Funding Alternative Group, which is a very, very different company and different activity, which is lending to UK SMEs.
Yeah. So who does Funding Alternative help, and how exactly?
A lot of UK SMEs. And this goes back to the understanding of finance. I see a lot of smaller companies that with potential and sometimes also just difficulties are not helped by the system, banks or lenders. And we offer products range from a loan to invoice financing to provide them the capital they very often need, like working capital, which is enough to pay their wages or pay their suppliers when they come into a difficult spot. So it's really across industries that we are operating, and we have a few success stories that really are heartwarming. Our mantra is very simple: is we are more than money. It's our mantra, and we build the business obviously on being cautious how we lend, but also with the philosophy to help company first and foremost. So we're very client orientated. So we try to understand their issues and really help them along the way of developing their businesses and being there when they need a strong funder behind them.
Yeah. So what types of business have you helped? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the best success stories were one, a spice producer, a very established family business, and I think they had been trading for decades and decades, but they were caught in a bad situation where a supplier had made a mistakes, and all their product were contaminated with nuts, and that created a huge issue. So
Yeah.
they lost a huge stock and supply of their products, and they didn't have anyone who wanted to back them up, because when things are really tough, banks think, oh, this company won't survive, so why would we lend money? And we helped them. They took our loan and came out 6 months later with much stronger than they were. And they moved on. They graduated away from us, which is our objective.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lovely story. So tell me about your third company, which is the newest one, and you've only been trading about 3 months, I think, in this business.
Correct, correct. It's called Calm Solutions. It's it's about energy management in manufacturing and in the industry in general.
Mm.
And this is somehow related to the compressed air business, but it's also a story of network, actually, networking with people. I happened to be in Germany in at the beginning of 2025 and met this entrepreneur. Very, very interesting story, and he had a passion for energy management. So he had built over 7, 8 years a set of hardware sensors and also a platform which is AI based to monitor, to diagnose systems for large manufacturing facilities and help them to optimize energy consumption and CO2 consumption. And I thought the product is absolutely brilliant. This is a Slovenian company called Carnes, and unfortunately, they didn't have the way to reach out to many customers in the UK. And I realized that they would need a partner like us. So I started building this business. I have now a few employees working with me on developing the offering for the UK and Irish market.
And so, what kinds of business are you helping with Calms?
Typically, very energy hungry businesses. So people, businesses that use a lot of compressor is a good example because it's very inefficient, essentially, but cooling systems, all that. And very often this is seen as utility and not something that they would focus on and would want to focus on because they're focusing on their product. But if you don't optimize your system, you first expose yourself to very high costs. Second, you make your processes more risky and riskier. And also you don't take into account all the constraint, which is CO2 emission, for instance. So this system help monitoring in real time and what is happening on your site, help you to diagnose and do preventative maintenance if needs be. So it's an advisory as well and help the industry to get the better out of their manufacturing facilities.
Yeah. Now, as we've said, you've only been doing this for 3 months, but how's it going so far?
So far, so good. I think the key is having a product you believe in, and this is a fantastic product because it's also oriented, forward looking. It has to do with environment as well, indirectly,
Yeah.
cost saving, obviously, but also environment. And I feel very, very proud of that. So we have a very good product, and so far, we just started looking into how do we best position the product so the right people will listen to our messages, which is the commercial aspect of it, and how do you talk to the right people. And I have the luck is having the right team. So, and that goes back to the networking points I was making. Is I've been very fortunate to meet my COO co-founder a little bit through networking. I used to be practicing at Toastmaster, which is a speaking club
Oh, yes. Yeah.
here nearby, and this young lad, very, very talented, approached me and heard about what I was doing. And through this and several conversations, we ended up forming a plan, and I presented it with the opportunity, jumped on it, and now I have a fantastic COO, and we have our first employees now.
Yeah. So yeah, let's turn to networking now then. So what else have you got from networking aside from a business partner?
Yes, I mean a lot of things. I'm also on the board of the British Compressed Air Society, and this is an aspect of running a business like the compressed air business, for instance, is good. But I realize you need to open up to the world. You need to see what other people are doing, understand your industry, and that's why I got very involved in this with this British Compressed Air Society, and that has opened doors and opportunities. So being an entrepreneur in your industry, you can achieve. I mean, it's incredible what you can achieve by opening to the world and looking to meet other entrepreneurs either in your industry or elsewhere. And so beside these activities, I'm also a part of clubs of entrepreneurs, which I found extremely energizing and very helpful. There is one in London called the Helm Club, for instance, very interesting ecosystem of entrepreneurs in different areas. It ranges from hospitality to all sorts, AI-driven businesses, but also very down-to-earth businesses. And that's fantastic opportunity to open your mind and also help other people, actually.
Yeah, and I know that helping other people is something that you're keen on. You do some mentoring, don't you? Who is it that you mentor, and how do they benefit?
Yeah, I mean, I have had the inquiries of people wanting to change career, for instance, and it's a very difficult step. I would say it's quite difficult because when people are ready to jump ship and say, "Look, I want to become my own boss," it typically when they have a certain maturity and they have financial constraint, like a family, for instance. So it's not something you just can do on without preparation.
No.
So I had several people which I tried to advise and put that into perspective because I went exactly through this journey from being an employee to becoming a full-time entrepreneur, and I think I would have wished I had a mentor telling me what I could have done before I jumped into this cold water, which is not easy for anyone. But what I've learned. I mean, there are a few things. I mean, when I look around, you have networking effectively is not a science. I think it's an art, but there are many things you can do. And what I observe very often is a lot of people are networking but unfortunately they miss some of the points, like listening first. I love this quote. It says, "We have two ears and one mouth for a reason." And very often networking is not about ego at all. It's about learning.
Yeah. And is networking something that you encourage your mentees to do?
Yes, absolutely. It's something you do, and it's a life skill, I think. And in everything you do, there are a few things you need to, which networking forces you to do. I think the most important is thinking about what you are saying, and by doing that, it forces you to think of what do I want to be or become or be perceived for. So there is an element of being intentional in your communication. It's like, you're refined by networking. When people ask you, what do you do? Is you refine a pitch about explaining succinctly and precisely what you want to achieve. So you can speak with passion, which is great. And that's, I think, the key. But it's helpful if you speak with purpose and really give a thought before you just speak. So that's one of the aspect of networking. And if I may add to it is, I think you create also reputation by networking. So if you have a consistent pitch about what you are, what you want to do, or how you can help people, people forget or tend to neglect the fact that you build a reputation through networking. So it's a very valuable asset. So think about that. It's and you need to build that over years, and that's why you cannot just decide today I network and that's it. You just need to practice.
Yeah, yeah. Very good advice. So, any final tips about networking before we wrap up?
Yes, one important one which has accompanied me in all my life is think partnership, not transaction. Very often the best opportunities come from collaboration. So I call it planting seeds. And I do that every day or every time, at every opportunity, every time I can, is planting seeds, is being open to understand what people are looking for, planting ideas, and like a beautiful flower, some will blossom, some won't. But the more you do that, the more you expose yourself to opportunities and chances to become a better version of yourself, help other people, and they will help you in return.
Yeah, absolutely. So one last final question, Serge. If people would like to get in touch with you, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yes, starting with my email address and LinkedIn profile, and you will find my email address there. That will be a good starting point. You can also contact me via my companies, and since there are 3 of them, but I will be absolutely delighted to be contacted and help people. So email is the best way, but also I think I left my mobile number is on my LinkedIn profile. So please don't hesitate to call me, WhatsApp me. I will be as responsive as I can.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you very much, Liz. It had been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.